Welcome to Frugal Tech Live, and like I said, we got a great show for you today. But before we get started, I want to mention that we are having a drawing for an Apple iPod Touch. We're giving this away next Tuesday, May the 31st, and here's what you need to do in order to win. Number one, you must live within the United States. We can't ship it anywhere else but within the United States. Number two, we need you to follow us on Justin.tv. Hit that subscribe button. Shows your support for the program. The next thing we need you to do is follow us on Twitter, on Frugal Tech on Twitter, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, so be here May the 31st at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the drawing. I also want to give a shout out to our sponsors, GFI Software, and also Telestream, the makers of Wirecast. Now, as I said, we have Mr. Anthony Mongeluzo. He lost his video. Okay. Well, that's all right. We'll just get him back on the phone here. Yeah, we're waiting to get Anthony's video.
Yo, I'm sorry. I was disconnected.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead and just shoot us your video there if you can.
Sure, I apologize.
No,
there we go.
Don't worry about it. We're sending your audio out right now. The whole audience can hear your apology, Anthony.
Excellent. Well, I apologize. Never trust wireless. I'm plugged in now. That's my first tech tip.
There you go. Well, I'm going to go, since you're already in here, well, I'm just going to go ahead and read this little piece about Pro Computer Service. That's Anthony's company. He started in 2002. When he saw a lack of computer field in the computer field of companies that not only provide great IT service, but had enough of an understanding of business to fully utilize, integrate technology to the business of leveraging technology and gaining a competitive advantage. That is a mouthful, but essentially you saw an opportunity for a company that did good work, right, Anthony?
Yeah, basically, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My parents owned a bar business, actually, till I was 28. I'm 30 now. And the thing that always drove me nuts about, there were so many great computer guys that had a million ways to fix a problem. But how do you do it in an effective way and in a way that really helps business? And that's where I think we really set the bar a lot higher than many other companies who are just geeks that go out and fix the problem. So if anyone's a geek, I apologize. I'm a geek too.
Oh, well, there's a lot of geeks that watch our program, and they wear that badge proudly, Anthony. They wear the badge proudly.
I do too, right here.
Well, listen, why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself, and then talk to us about your company.
Sure. Background with myself is I'm a graduate of Rowan University, class of 2002. If everyone remembers, that's when a little bubble popped in the job and internet world. My company basically started because I was not able to go out and get a job. I thought the world was going to be there for me. I had a near 4.0 GPA. I was the first person in the university history to be Microsoft certified under the Windows operating system. I had A+, I had Net+, and I couldn't get a interview, let alone, so I had my A+, but not an interview. So at that point, I went and started on my own doing IT consulting on the side because I figured I was the only guy stupid enough to hire me. And from there, I went out and built the company. I managed about 500 customers on my own for the first 2 or 3 years of business. At that point, I made the leap of faith to bring my first employee on, who's still with me today. And right now, we currently employ 23 individuals. Our physical headquarters is in southern New Jersey in a town called Marlton, right by the Philadelphia International Airport. I do have an office in Philadelphia. I have an office in Wilmington, Delaware, and I have an office over in Buena Vista, New Jersey. And our physical territories that we service primarily are New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland.
Did you say you were handling 500 customers by yourself?
Not only was I handling 500 customers by myself, I was also our bookkeeping department, our marketing department, and everything else. So it was literally, I would leave my house some days at 6:37 in the morning, and 1 o'clock I'm doing the paperwork just to make sure I didn't forget any of the billing or ordering systems or things like that. It was at the end, if I didn't hire someone and get some help, I might not be here. I would have probably quit. It was getting really not that the days are much easier. I just do what I like.
Right. So were you in a broke fix type of business at that point in time, or what was the crux of what you were doing at that time?
Completely at the beginning, break fix. Before Microsoft released Service Pack 2, when that spyware, malware, and really all the virus attacks were running wild, I kidded around, and that's what kept me in business. When Microsoft bought Giant with the anti-spyware, I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? I mean, spyware and virus cleaning were about 80% of my livelihood at that point. Right. And I was a younger guy too. I was 22. I wouldn't say I was at the consulting level, so to speak, other than for really teeny tiny businesses. I had a lot of growing I needed to do myself.
Okay. So you graduated from college with your as Microsoft certified.
Yes, indeed. And I got since I got the certification, I was able to get an instant A in the class, so that was kind of nice too.
Now, when and I'll just kind of ask you this question, since you remember your experience, okay, you left the university and you couldn't get an interview. And I understand the dot-com bubble burst at that time. And of course, we're going through the Great Recession. Well,
always something.
Yeah, always something. Do you now kind of, when you're talking to a prospective candidate, maybe keep that in the back of your mind that you'd be willing to interview somebody right out of college, or are you also looking for people with a lot of experience before you bring them into your company?
It's a tough call, and I really have two answers for that question.
Okay.
One, I always try to give everyone a shot, and I'm 30, but I still love that 21, 22, getting out ready to take over the world. Mm-hmm. There's two types of positions that we hire at the company. Sometimes if we have so many projects and we onboard a large client, I need someone that has to hit the ground moving when we don't have time to really take someone under the wing and train them. But when we're planning for growth and we have it controlled, I think it's great to bring someone in from college because they didn't necessarily develop any bad habits at that point yet in terms of using technology. And they're at the point where they're excited and the economy's so bad and they're so ready to get a job that you trust that they're going to learn the skills that they need faster to really enhance themselves with the company.
So why did you choose the IT industry for a career, Anthony?
Because I wanted to be on TV and the radio, and I didn't think I did.
What?
Yeah, I actually was a communications major for the first 2 years. That's why I chose Rowan University, because of the communications program. But during that time at school and my personal life, I was always the computer guy. People always asked me questions. I always fixed people's computers. And a very good friend of mine, Dr. Jay Chaskis, who was one of my advisors, told me I was nuts and I needed to leave communication. And the advice that he gave me was, he goes, Anthony, you're a smart guy. You'll find a way to get on TV. Do the computers. So I really trusted him. I did the computers, and I did find a way to get on TV, so it worked out.
Wow,
really well.
Yeah, that's a win-win scenario.
He's a smart man. That's why they call him Doctor.
Right. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about the demographics of your business? What is your core business right now? What's your core customer kind of look like?
Our core customer right now looks a lot like a 50 to 100 person company. When I say 50 to 100 people, I mean computer users. Mostly Windows shops. We do have a couple of places that run Linux. We have very few Mac shops. Typically, our customer will fall in the medical industry, legal industry, CPA firms, engineers. 5 years ago, our typical customer was mortgage, title, and real estate. So that's changed a little bit, but
a lot, I'm sure.
A lot. Yeah, we made our living from 2002 to 2005 supporting, I would say our base was 60 or 70% mortgage real estate systems. And now it's more professional services, it's more niche businesses, and a lot of people need healthcare. So doctors' offices and hospitals have been great for us. And we're just breaking in now to the municipal world as well. We have a couple townships that we support, a couple counties. So that world's working out really well too.
So that's great, especially municipalities. That because government can really help a small company like yours grow. If you get in there and do great work, they'll keep using you, and you're approved, and it makes it easier to do business with. So that, I think, was a very smart move on your part.
And the great thing too about government and municipalities, if you go in there and you really provide them solutions, a lot of these municipalities and counties, they don't have the budget to have a full-time IT people or the team. So they are so grateful when you're able to help out, and that's something I've seen across the municipal world.
All right. So now we got an idea what your customer looks like. What kind of services are you offering these customers?
We're offering a whole slew. What we're trying to really focus on, though, is the industry buzzword of managed service, where we go in and offer our customers a fixed monthly rate. So when they call us, they don't feel like they're being billed hourly. And by having a fixed fee, it puts us really on the same side of the table with them.
Okay.
So we're trying to do that. But, of course, we do your standard break fix. We do your consulting. We have some cabling that we do in-house. I have another company called Pilot Light Studios that focuses strictly on Django web application development, where we could go in and really do some have a good impact there. And we have a really niche service called telecom recovery, which has been great in the municipal world. We actually go back in the past and recover money that was overbilled by Verizon or other carriers potentially. And there's a lot of money out there that people are missing.
So can we just go in that in a little bit more detail? This is a separate service that you offer, looking for refunds on overbilling?
Yeah, essentially what we try to do is, right now, if you go into the government world, there's not a budget really available for an IT company such as mine. The budget's zero. So if we're able to go back in, and look at the past phone bills. So for instance, I'll give you a great example. A county in South Jersey, we reviewed their old phone bills. We're going back 2007, 2006, 4 or 5 years out. It turned out they were overbilled by a national carrier over $1.1 million and counting.
Oh my gosh.
So we have been successfully able to recover about 75% of that number and have one last big claim ready to go. So at this point, that's very substantial for a county to get nearly $1 million back, and we're paid in a success-based manner, so we get a percentage of the recovery.
Well, maybe you'll find some work now with the whole AT&T overbilling people on data plans.
I covered that on Fox on Friday. I was laughing. That hit close to home for what we do.
There might be it could be some opportunity for you, Anthony.
Indeed.
You mentioned you had, did you say 24 employees?
Yep, it's actually 24 if you count me.
Oh, gotta count you, man. And believe me, I've been there in your shoes when you're talking about being a startup and you're the chief cook, bottle washer, your marketing, sales, finance, everything all rolled into one, right?
Okay.
So I get that, and I read your blog, Anthony. And by the way, folks, if you go to his website, if you want to give your address of your website, Anthony,
sure.
Go ahead.
Our website is procomputerservice.com, and I always say it's service singular. A lot of people want to call us Pro Computer Services, but the web domain is procomputerservice.com.
Oh, okay. I would encourage folks to read Anthony's blog. He did a great 3 or 4 part article called The Right IT Company. So what I want to get into next with you, Anthony, is the impetus behind writing that article or those series of blog posts, and why you did it, how you come to your conclusions, and how that's working for you.
It's funny. The reason I wrote that, I find so many people when they write blog entries and newsletters and things of that nature, they're really trying to sell themselves or push a particular product. One of the things that I've always been a big fan of is give people good information. Let them read, let them make a decision. Don't try to push something. There's enough of that going on. If you look at TV, there's enough commercials. Mm-hmm. So really, I think there's so many people out there that they don't consider the full gamut and what they're actually, when you hire an IT company, you're essentially giving them the keys to your house. So I really just wanted to make sure that when potential customers, when prospects, even when competitors, if they want to read our site, it's an open book, just to make that information really available for everyone. And I actually talked a whole lot with my director of Maryland and Delaware operations, Jake, him and I talked over many breakfasts about that blog post, or that series, I should say.
Okay. Well, can you give us some specific tips from your blog post? from two perspectives, I guess. One, maybe as a potential if I was looking to hire an IT firm, but also if I was an IT professional, because there's a lot of those folks that watch our show that are tips that they can use to win more business based on some of the writings in your blog post.
Okay, well, this tip is only for IT consultants outside of my area. We can no, I'm just kidding. Really, for the IT consultant, I would say go above and beyond for your clients. A lot of times you assume, or you might make assumptions if you were referred in there by someone else. One of the tips that I always have is show your customer that you know their industry. For instance, when I was in the mortgage industry, I used to love talking to one of the owners of a branch and say, Calix doesn't do piggyback loans. Well, the fact that I knew what a piggyback loan was in the software application made it more relevant and more current to them.
Right.
For IT professionals, I always try to go out to a new client with a list of customers and software packages that I know I support in their industry, and if I can, at least have a good case study ready to go. Because once you're able to prove, everyone thinks on the business side, everyone thinks that they have this unique software package, and they're the only person that knows how to do it is their current IT guy, which isn't true. At the end of the day, all of us as IT professionals know it's the back-end SQL, it's Windows, it's knowing technology. So that's what I would recommend for the IT professionals. Now, for the consumer that's looking to hire an IT professional, the proof is in the pudding. I don't think there's anything more strong than good testimonials. I think that if you're a consumer, you need to call up. People will come in, they'll talk a good game, and really you want to know that you have an IT company that when your systems are down at 9 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning or there's an emergency, you're going to get a response. I could sit here and promise all day that I'll do that, but it doesn't matter what I say. It matters what my customers say. So I think for a consumer, that's probably the number one most important thing to pull from the blog. The second would be to call people relative to your industry and make sure that what you're saying is true, because I'm not sure if anyone ever seen a resume. Not everything's always true on the resume, so you can't always assume that an IT company is going to say whatever they post. They might not necessarily done fully from what we've seen in the past.
You mentioned, you're talking a lot about, I won't say referrals, but getting your customers to speak up for you on your behalf, getting testimonials. So you're a big believer in testimonials then?
Yes, I'm a huge believer, and one of the things that we try to do is after we work with a client for 3 months, 6 months. Now it'll depend on the level of need of the client. Some small businesses might only see us once in 6 months. But once we have that level of rapport, a lot of times I'll ask the client if they're comfortable with giving us a testimonial, and 99 times out of 100 they are. And then the other one time out of 100, they'll say, could you just write one for me? I'm kind of lazy and I'll prove it.
Okay.
So generally, if you're doing a good job, people will be kind, but you have to ask. A lot of times people just won't write you.
I think a lot of times in any sales situation, Anthony, sometimes we forget to ask customers for referrals, which is a way. I mean, it's terrible.
It's truly terrible, and you have to remember it. I'm the same way. I have a tremendous amount of business, and I refer a lot of people out. But unless someone sits me down and says, "Hey, Ant, can you make 2 or 3 of these calls or send this email?" I would say, and I need to practice this more, and I need to make sure my team practices this more. When you're at a client, you can say, hey, do you think that we give you a good service? And obviously, you're going to hope the answer is yes if they're using you for a long time. Do you think there's anyone else that could benefit from this service? It's a question that could probably generate tens of thousands of dollars of business for everyone if you just add that to your conversation.
Very true. Very true. Definitely, that's a great tip to take away. Any other tips from your blog that you might want to share?
There's so many tips we could actually end up filling the program, but I think what you just said with the testimonials and references, another thing is make sure you understand the total cost of what the IT services will be. And you might think what I'm saying is like, oh, what am I, stupid? I'm going to get the hourly rate. That's not necessarily the full tariff.
Right.
Some companies will charge you portal to portal. Some companies will charge you one-way portal. Some companies, like ours, will charge you a flat travel fee. That's very important to know, though, because those charges can add up. And just because you know the hourly rate doesn't mean you know the travel. What's their policy on marking up equipment? I guess another good one, even though it was alluded to earlier, what's not only the emergency response time, what's the standard response time that I could expect? Will you put that standard response time in writing? If you don't get to my office in 4 hours that we agreed upon, do I get free service? What do I get? So,
and what is your company's response time right now?
Right now, with 23, since we added 2, it's instantaneous. But realistically, for any server emergencies, anything like that, we promise our clients to be on site working on the problem within 1 hour.
Okay. Within an hour. Okay.
Yeah, and we honor that promise. I can't think of a time when someone was down and it was longer than that. For general service issues, it flows obviously throughout the day. If someone's here, we do a lot of remote support where a lot of times it's innocent, but we're willing to commit to a 4-hour response time for small, non-mission critical problems. I have 3 printers, but one's not printing. We'll be out there within 4 hours, generally sooner.
All right. Let's look at something else that's going on right now. You mentioned the magic word. One of the big things that's being tossed around for people in the IT business is called managed services. Anthony, I'd like to give our audience a description of what that means, and then let's talk about how you got into it and what that means to you and your customers.
Sure. Managed service means essentially we'll use an analogy first. Most businesses outsource their payroll. Most business owners, CFOs, they realize it's not worth the liability, the hassle to handle your payroll. So essentially what managed services in the IT world is a business, an entity, a township, a union. They'll outsource their entire IT operations to a company like mine. Now the real thing that makes a service managed service is 2 things in my opinion. One is 24/7 monitoring. You need to monitor the systems, make sure they're patched, and really take control of the network. The second thing that's mission critical to managed service is the billing. It's a monthly fixed fee for support.
Okay.
So if a customer calls you 100 times and your managed fee price is $2,000 a month, you might need to look at that because that's a lot of calls. And it will vary from customer to customer, but those are the 2 main components of managed service: ownership and fixed fee.
May I ask what support mechanism you use for managed services? What tools that you're using?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. When I first started to dip my toes in the managed service, I was using Zenith, which is an outsourced managed service product that it installs probes on people's desktops and servers, and they have a network operations center.
Okay.
I since what I'll kid around and say is, and this is not a knock with Zenith, they did a great job with this. We purchased our own product now, Kaseya.
Okay.
And we are managing our own NOC now in-house, so our server actually communicates direct with our clients' machines, which gives us a lot more control because we can customize our system probes. It helps brand us better, and that's our product, and that's how we stay on top of things and know when there's problems before our customers do.
All right, we're going to get ready to take a short break, and then we're going to come back with Anthony to talk a little bit more about managed services and more about his business. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this brief message.
GFI Software provides a single source for networking, security, monitoring, and hosted IT solutions for small to medium enterprises. GFI's extensive suite of award-winning on-premise solutions includes anti-spam, email security, email archiving, endpoint antivirus, centrally managed backup, event log management, server-based faxing, network monitoring, removable device control, vulnerability scanning and patch management, and web filtering and security. GFI also offers a suite of hosted solutions including email security and continuity, frontline email defense, and monitoring and remote management. With award-winning technology, an aggressive pricing strategy, and a strong focus on the unique requirements of small to medium-sized enterprises, GFI Software can satisfy your needs on a global scale. Please visit us online at www.gfi.com.
Okay, welcome back to the show, and we're talking with Anthony Mongeluzo. I'm sorry, Anthony. I have a tongue twister for me.
It took me 15 years to learn how to say my name. It's all right. It's Mongeluzo.
Mongeluzo. Thank you so much. I feel very bad about that, but I was just having some difficult. Anyhow, we're back with Anthony. We're talking about his company, and we're talking right now about managed services. Anthony, you mentioned you're using Kaseya right now. Talk to us a little bit about some of the benefits that brings to the table for your clients.
A lot of benefits. What it does is it allows us to keep a running asset of all of their computers. It pulls a service tag. It pulls the last user that was logged in. It can give us alerts such as the disk space is filling up. So instead of us figuring things out after a problem occurs, it gives us the ability to be proactive, to be able to make suggestions, and really to be able to prevent downtime. Now, there's some other nice benefits with Kaseya, such as the ease of us being able to remote in. We can control different things such as just the fragmentation, cleaning of temporary files. We can automate tasks by running scripts on particular clients. So it's an immensely powerful tool.
Okay. And it's Anthony Mongeluzo.
All right, Mongeluzo.
Mongeluzo. There you go. I'm not going to mess it up anymore, I promise.
We're recording you. We're going to know. We'll play it back.
Yeah, you'll hear me just screw it all up later on. At any rate, that brings me to this. I guess with managed services, that brings a reliable income to your business every month, money you can count on, correct?
Absolutely. Right now, with the economy and with everything else, if we didn't start switching to a managed service,
right,
we would be biting our nails every day. Probably us and our clients, because then our clients, if they had a big issue and then they get a 10-hour bill, they won't be happy either. So I think it's a win-win.
So that being the case, but the benefit to your customer then is they have a known there. They have a budget item. They know every month this is what we spend on IT.
100%. That number, if you have a good managed service provider, that's your number. It's on your line item. It doesn't change. And the other thing is, with the way we do it, and I can't speak on this for everyone else, it gives the customer peace of mind. They essentially have a virtual CIO, we call it, where you act as the chief information officer. You help them make purchasing decisions. And what I do in particular for our managed service clients, and a lot of people think that we're silly, I'll even help them negotiate pricing on equipment. I won't necessarily have to sell to them directly, because that's part of the service, to make sure that we're their IT department and we're acting as a member of their team and not really a third-party provider, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense, because number one, people don't like surprises.
No.
Okay? Business guys really don't like surprises. And that can, and you might bill a fair amount for what you're doing, but there's the value in what you get for your money, and this puts everything in black and white right up front.
Yes, and I explain it to our clients too. I say, look, some months, pro computer, we're going to get walloped. There's going to be a lot of heavy lifts. There's going to be a virus outbreak, and essentially we would have been able to bill you a lot more hourly. But if we're doing our job, there's going to be other months where there's a lull where you're not going to need it. And our goal is just to make sure that through the course of the year, both for us and them, it's a very fair, even relationship, which we review 3-4 times a year the contract, and it's a real win-win.
Now, in your managed services, because this is, I think, fascinating to a lot of people, what exactly are you offering? Like multiple plans? Are you monitoring just to make sure that the servers are patched and up to date and everything's running fine? What kind of service can I expect with a managed services contract from your company?
If you get a managed services contract with us, and we're different than a lot of people. There's the gold plan, the silver plan at other places. We have one plan, all or nothing. On the managed service side, we essentially go in, and for that fixed fee, which we agree upon, which is very different across the board for our clients, it doesn't necessarily, we don't bill by the computer, the size, or we try to figure out how much use they're going to have, and sometimes it takes a couple months to come up with the number, to be honest with you. But for smaller clients that necessarily won't have a managed service, what we'll do is we'll offer them a fixed monthly IT budget, we call it.
Okay.
Where we'll give them essentially rollover hours. I forget what phone company or cell phone company I stole that from. But we'll essentially say, look, you guys think that you're going to need 4 hours a month of IT support. So we'll take that number and then say, okay, well, that's about 50 hours. So we'll give them a bulk price for a 50-hour bulk purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Spread that payment over 12 months, but still give them the benefits of our monitoring and our proactive services. So I guess that could technically be a middle ground plan where they're still getting managed, but it's managed / hourly, I guess I'll say.
Okay. That's that's actually a good deal right there.
It's a very good deal. See, the one thing that I get concerned about, if we used to in the past just sell the probes, and what would happen is, so say someone's backup didn't work. Well, the first instinct is to go fix it. Well, if that cost the client a half hour, we might then get a complaint. Well, we didn't approve that half-hour bill. Right. And the real response is, so wait a minute, your backup wasn't working. Did you want us not to fix it? You wouldn't have approved it? So it just made the situation a little bit hairy. Mm-hmm. So now, if we're doing the probes, there has to be some type of hourly commitment to protect us and to protect them. A good deal is when everyone knows what they're getting. So if, on say your 4-hour plan, we only use 2 hours this month, that means that my 2 hours would roll over for the next month, is what you're saying. Exactly. So you would start the next month with 6 hours. Okay. And then in the event, if you went over that 6 hours, you would have the option to be billed at a discounted hourly rate because you have a commitment with our company. Or if it was something really fluky where it's, someone had a virus, someone dropped something, there's a lot of times where we'll allow them to overrun that and free draw from the next month as well. Okay. If you're just joining us, we're with Anthony Mongeluzo. Look at that. How about that? Are you proud of me or what? With Pro Computer Service. And Anthony started his company back in 2002, and he's become one of the premier managed service providers on the East Coast, and a very bright and aggressive guy, and he's got some great information for us. So, Anthony, let's move on a little bit from the managed service. That's a really interesting thing. But let me ask you this. But besides managed services now, everything we hear today is cloud, software as a service, software as a service, software as a service. So let's get with you. Find out, are your small business guys, are they making use of things like Google Apps? Are they making use of, say, Microsoft Office 365? What are you seeing in that climate right now? I'm seeing a lot in that climate, and I kid around. One of the guys in our office, Chris Grigg, he's actually made a big push to really push Google Apps to our clients. He's a big fan, and it really is. Google Apps is phenomenal. You and I talked before this, yes. How cool it is. And for Matt, if he's listening in our office, he's from Pilot Light Studios. He always says it's not a cloud, it's the internet. It's a bunch of computers. Yep. So I wanted to put that out there. But yes, small businesses are definitely going to the cloud. The only thing that I'm personally seeing with the cloud, Google Apps, for instance, if you have a really small business, and I'm going to say less than 15 people, it'll cost to average out and make sense with their yearly fees. Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to get that nudge. If you're a 300-person, a 400-person company, that would be a significant investment in Google or Office 365 to have that monthly or yearly maintenance that you could never own, you could never get out of it. So you have to really use the solution properly. You've got a good point there, because you can look at all the marketing stuff from Google, you can look at all the marketing stuff from Microsoft, but you say, you've got a 300-person organization. You're right. It can make a lot more sense to have your own Exchange server and all that sort of thing, as opposed to doing that. I guess you see these different cases. What in their advertising, and this is kind of a little off script as we call it, but in the advertising Google puts out, let's say, for why organizations that size should move to Google, what is the flaw in their calculations? The flaws in the numbers. Okay. I mean, let's do the math. Let's say you're an organization with 500 employees and it's $50 a user. Mm-hmm. $25,000 a year. Your 4-year cost to that is $100,000. Mm-hmm. How much does it cost to buy a really good server nowadays that can support that? Mm-hmm. And then even when you add in the Microsoft licensing, Now, some people can also add in the cost of IT support and outsource support and things like that. But if you have internal staff, it's not necessarily going to increase your internal budget much to manage that Exchange server, because I'm sure your IT guys aren't working 40 full hours a week every week. So it's gonna be different strokes for different folks. I always say it depends, unfortunately. You know, we have a small client, for instance, come back to managed service, that spends over $2,000 a month in managed service with us. I have a client 6 times their size that spends $400 or $500 a month less. So you really have to have someone you trust to analyze the cloud. My big fear is that when people look at the cloud, they look at, $500 a month, $800 a month, but they're not doing the 3 or 5 year return on investment where they could have said, wait a minute, that might have only been $15,000 for 5 years, and I just spent $25,000.
Okay, question from the chat room, Anthony. The question is, what about labor in managing that server? I think that Anthony more or less answered that question. If you've already got an IT department, you've already sort of got those costs built in there. And Anthony, I've had several Exchange servers of my own, and once they're set up, mine's always been pretty much bulletproof. That's been my experience.
It's pretty much bulletproof. I mean, the cost of labor, look, if you're in the cloud or have your own Exchange server, if you hire someone, if you fire someone, you're still going to have to add or remove a user.
Yeah.
So that labor is going to be the same regardless if it's hosted or in your building. But from my experience with Exchange servers, look, can one crash and cause you some problems? Yeah, definitely, but that's not a typical occurrence. So for something like that, I mean, you're going to apply your patches monthly, you're going to have to look at the logs every once in a while, but it's not going to add that much to an existing overhead.
Very good. Anthony, how do I grow my broke IT fix at shop today? What do I need to be doing?
Wow, you know what? I'll change that answer every day. But one of the pointers I could give and will give is we were a complete break fix IT shop, and for any of you watching, I was completely opposed to managed service 3 years ago. 100% would not want to do it. Then I started looking at other companies, and the environment forced me to change, and I've actually embraced it. Look at some of your big customers. Look at what they spend monthly. Do a 12-year pullback of their account and audit everything. Go back 2 years. Figure out what the average monthly cost is, and find a way to offer them a fixed fee with some enhanced services that's agreeable to them and you. I would say use information that you have in your database as really the way to start converting that. That's the best way to go. If you're a break fix shop, your time and materials, your brain's set there. You got to make the leap, and I would suggest doing it quickly.
All right, and what's a great way, or what's the best way, maybe for somebody who hasn't done managed services, learn about it, and maybe what platform should they be looking at?
I would say the two main platforms to look at are definitely Kaseya and Zenith. Zenith is a great platform to start because they charge you per probe, which means you don't have to make any type of significant capital investment. Like, for instance, for us, when I purchased Kaseya for the number of licenses, we'd have spent $30,000 to buy that software. A small break fix shop is going to say, "What are you, nuts, man?"
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Right.
Where Zenith, I believe the probes will actually, I know for a fact that the probes will actually be prorated. So if you install a probe on the 15th of the month, then you'll only be charged from the 15th to the 30th or for that time. So Zenith is a great way to get started, get really a turnkey solution that you could just sign up for and start like right now.
All right. I also might mention a product called GFI Remote Max or GFI Max Remote Management as well.
That's a great product as well. We have that at one of our clients. It was an internal IT department that we took over, about 300 users, and very happy with that product as well too.
Well, fantastic. I happen to be a GFI reseller myself, and so I just thought I'd throw that in there, Anthony.
Absolutely, and it's all about it, and it's a great product, and you should be proud to resell it.
Very much so. Moving on, we got to look at our crystal ball. I'm going to ask you to look into your crystal ball for just a minute.
Hold on, I pulled it out of my desk.
Put on the
I got it.
What was it? The Great Carmack? Johnny Carson used to do this thing. Yeah, that might be a little bit before your time. I don't know, Anthony. But at any rate, What technologies do you think are going to be hot it's hot right now, but where are you looking for your future growth? In other words, what should I be looking at to grow my business, not only today, but 5 years down the road? What should I be looking at?
Wow, 5 years in the computer world.
That's a lifetime. Okay, I'll be fair. Let's say 2.
Next 2 years, one of the products, and again, this came from the internal staff in here that I'm seeing a big push on. That's absolutely incredible. Is Microsoft's RDS service. It basically works really well with the cloud and allows you to have applications. So it's very comparable to Citrix application publishing.
Okay.
One of my lines I like to say is that it's Citrix application publishing on steroids. We've been deploying that in a lot of different environments, and with the way that Microsoft has the applications running locally on the desktops, that makes the cloud very attractive and very viable. So that's definitely one technology I'm looking at a lot. I think that Google and Microsoft are going to be swinging and slugging between Google Apps and the new online Office package. I think that's going to be a new forefront over the next couple of years as well. Right now we're in transition. The world's going to go virtual, and once everything gets virtualized, it's going to be going to the cloud in the next 3 to 4 years, I would say. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're definitely in a virtual world now, which is very different.
What about mobile applications and working more with wireless data, mobile devices? Where do you see that in the not too far horizon?
Well, I see a couple things going on in that world. I think cell phones are going to start getting hit with viruses, which is going to create a whole new market for the antivirus and troubleshooting world. The iPads have obviously started a whole new generation of mobile users, and it's all going to tie together. But yeah, mobile technology is key. I travel now with a laptop, with an iPad, with my phone, and unfortunately, it's making us all crazy. I think because you're always playing with some type of electronic device now.
Right. Guilty as charged. I'm kind of an iPhone addict. I'm constantly looking at the thing. Question.
I'm a convert. I was a Droid 2 guy, and now I kind of like my iPhone. So I won't let Apple hear me say that because we're a Microsoft shop, but the iPhone's pretty cool.
We've got that on tape. Okay, everybody, we've got that, right? Yeah. How on earth did you end up on Fox Tech Talk?
Craziness, to be honest. One of the things, if an IT provider's out there and you want to grow your business, I'm not a big believer in placing ads in magazines and newspapers and things like that, but I do have a fantastic PR guy that really has helped me out a lot with newspaper articles and other different things. And luckily, I was fortunate enough to get a one-time shot on Fox 29 when there was a virus. If anyone remembers the Configure virus.
Oh, yeah.
The April Fool's Day worm was going to take down the internet in the world.
Yep.
That was a big thing, obviously, a couple of years ago. And fortunately, I went on Fox. We had a good conversation and went well on the air. And little by little, they kept letting me come back on. And then finally, now we have a weekly segment on there where I go on and talk about different things every Friday. So it's great, and it's a really fun time to be on there.
Right, and now Anthony wanted to be a TV star at one time. Okay.
But absolutely, I didn't want to be on TV. I wanted to be on the radio, but we know where the radio's going now. So
kind of went from Baywatch more to Virus Watch, but then making the best of it, right?
Exactly.
A bad joke, everybody.
One day, look, Jim Cramer does that stock show.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
not have a really cool technology show?
There you go. Exactly.
So if any producers are out there, get my cheap plug-in.
Okay. All right. And same here. Same here. I think you know what, Anthony, I gotta tell you, I think some of us in the IT business, we kind of like the media stuff, don't we?
The media stuff's great, and if you think about it, I mean, look at Apple. They're a genius with the media. Anytime they throw a press conference or anything, they're always being covered. If Steve Jobs even writes the number 3 down on a piece of paper, everyone's going to say the iPad 3 is coming out. Everyone right now. So the media is definitely helpful.
the reality distortion field. He's actually going to be hosting a Steve Note at the Worldwide Developers Conference for OS 10 or for Apple here June the 7th.
Oh, wow.
So the great masters, I tell you what, though, Anthony, nobody beats this guy at presentations, hands down.
He is phenomenal.
He's the master of the presentation. At any rate, back to you and your business. Talent is your biggest asset. It's got to be your biggest asset is all those people that's come and joined you at your company.
Absolutely.
Okay.
One of the things we joke about is everyone, I talk the crap, as going back to a school thing, I talk the crap. I need a lot of good people to back me up.
Yeah, right. Well, we had a new friend on the show a few weeks back, Mr. Gene Marks. And I asked him the same question, Gene, how do you keep your people? And he goes, I pay them a lot. I pay them really, really well. And so I want to hear your say, how do you keep your folks happy?
I was going to play the clip for Gene. I was going to say, Gene's lying. I know that. Gene's a phenomenal guy and a friend. One of the things here, and this has always been the greatest thing about the company, and even something that we're going through now, you can take what you want when you're here. There's different positions available for everyone. Our growth I attribute to all the team players here, and I look for people inside the organization to step up, to help us grow, to take us to the next level. Most of the products that we have, they're not my idea. Some of the guys came to me and said, hey, Ant, we need to do this. Hey, we should do this. Hey, we should break this apart. And I would say for any CEO, it's very important to be close with your team, to listen to your team, get people vested and get people really intrigued in the company. There's a big world out there, and there's a lot of opportunities, and the bigger we get, the better it's going to be for everyone in here that steps up. So that's one way. Just keep showing people a way to progress.
With that in mind, you've said, and that's a good point, that you've got good people. You give them some independence and let them kind of pick some of the things that they do there. How do you win new business then? How do you get new business for the company? What's your approach?
My approach is, and anyone that knows me will laugh, I invented my own club called the Every Night Club.
Okay.
And essentially what I do is I make sure I'm out every night. I find events that I want to go to. I set up times for personal relationships to have a drink with people that I want to meet and people that could possibly benefit. And I'm not always looking to go meet with a client. I go out and look for a telephone vendor who maybe we could form a partnership and have some complimentary service offering. Insurance people that might sell technology insurance. I try to make sure that I have strong relationships in the community. And the other joke is I'm always filled up for breakfast. I do 2 breakfasts every morning with people that I want to network with or people that want to do business with me. So I take a lot of meetings. I meet a lot of people, and I make sure people know what I do and what Pro Computer Service is about. Either if you're not, my friend Peter always says, if you're not visible, you're invisible.
That's a good. I got to use that. I like that. I like that.
Peter credit. I didn't make it up, but I spread it for him.
If you're not visible, you're invisible.
And if you're invisible, no one's going to be doing business with you.
That is some great advice, folks. Keep that. We have a lot of folks that are entrepreneurs, they aspiring managers, or they're looking to be promoted. If you could only offer one piece of business advice, what would that advice be?
I'm going to give you 2 just because there's 2 different classes there. But for the entrepreneurs, you have to realize that you're not going to work 8 hours a day. You're not going to work 10 hours a day. You're going to work 12, 14, maybe 16 some days. It's not the glamorous thing that you see on TV, and it's a lot of hard work. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, be prepared to work really hard. Be prepared to take responsibility for everything. When other people screw up, it's you, and be willing to do what's right. That's really what I would say for entrepreneurs. Now, for business managers and other people looking to be promoted in a company, think like an entrepreneur. Think how you can help the company's bottom line. Think about new services you can bring in. The big thing is for entrepreneurs or for employees, you have to add value. You have to find a way to make someone's life better, easier, more productive, and it will come back to you. Always look to help somebody. If I'm combining it, that would be my main advice. Always look to help. Always look to give.
That is some
be ready to receive, but always look to give.
Be ready to receive, but always look to give. That was Anthony Mongeluzo, and what a great guy, what a great guest to have on this show. Runs his own successful IT company. I think you can learn a lot from Anthony. And Anthony, you want to give us your website one more time?
Sure, one more time. It's www.procomputerservice.com. Service is singular.
There you go. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on the program today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks. It was a lot of fun.
We really appreciate it. And with that in mind, I think we're going to go ahead and conclude our program. Remember, if it's in your shop not making you money or saving you money, get it out of there. And we also want to invite everybody to our programs on Sunday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, Home Office Weekly, a video magazine. We'll talk to you later. Bruce Daly, your Frugal Tech. Take care, everybody.